Flashing lights, a gun pointed, and a bag of white powder held high. An ordinary man, accused of a crime he never committed. But this wasn't just a routine stop. It was a setup, a trap designed to break him. What the officers didn't know was that the man they had targeted wielded more power than they could have ever imagined. Beneath his calm exterior lay the truth that would shatter their arrogance. What happens when corruption collides with justice most unexpectedly? Watch until the end. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. David Harris had lived with the weight of being judged before people knew his name. On the outside, he was quiet, professional, blending into the world with no signs of who he truly was. Beneath the surface, however, Marcus was a senior DEA agent, a man dedicated to dismantling drug empires and rooting out corruption. He had faced danger in alleyways, deserts, and cartel hideouts, but never thought he'd face it on his own city streets. On this day, he was heading home, dressed sharply, his badge tucked away in his jacket pocket. The neighborhood was peaceful, lined, with houses and kids playing on lawns. Nothing felt unusual until police sirens pierced the calm. He pulled over without hesitation, confident there was no reason to fear. But in a world where skin color spoke louder than truth, Marcus was about to learn how fragile peace really was. Two officers approached with sharp voices and sharper stares. Their tone carried judgment before a single word was exchanged. Marcus complied, handing over his license, speaking respectfully, but suspicion lingered in their eyes. Instead of a routine check, one officer insisted he step out. Marcus obeyed, hands visible, heart steady but cautious. He had seen this pattern before, not just as a black man, but as an investigator of corrupted systems. As he stood on the curb, the second officer suddenly leaned into his car. Moments later, a small plastic bag filled with white powder appeared in his grip. The scene was rehearsed, too clean, too deliberate. Marcus's stomach tightened. This wasn't discovery, it was performance. "Suspicious substance," the officer barked, waving it like a prize. Cameras weren't rolling, and there were no witnesses close enough to see. To them, Marcus was just another target, another statistic, someone they thought powerless. But Marcus wasn't powerless. Behind his composed expression, his mind raced through options. He knew the law, knew their tactics, and knew exactly how much trouble they had just created for themselves. Their arrogance blinded them, but Marcus understood the danger. One wrong move, and this could escalate into violence. Yet he also knew the moment of truth was approaching. The officers smirked, convinced they had trapped him. What they didn't realize was that their evidence had just planted the seeds of their own downfall. Handcuffs clicked tightly around Marcus's wrists, cold steel biting into his skin. One officer sneered, shoving the bag of powder in front of his face. The other aimed his weapon steadily, ready to strike at the slightest move. For a moment, Marcus let them believe they had won. Then, slowly, he lifted his jacket pocket with restrained hands, revealing a golden badge that glinted in the sun. DEA. Silence fell like thunder. Their faces drained of color as the weight of their mistake crashed down in an instant. The man they had humiliated wasn't a criminal. He was the very authority they claimed to serve. Marcus's voice cut through the air, calm but laced with fire. "You just planted drugs on a federal agent." Within minutes, backup arrived, this time not to aid the corrupt officers, but to take them away. Their arrogance dissolved into desperate excuses, their voices trembling as the roles reversed. Marcus stood tall, freed from the cuffs, but his victory carried no joy. He knew countless others had stood in his place without a badge to protect them. This was more than his story. It was the story of a broken system, one where skin color could erase innocence in a heartbeat. As he drove away, the flashing lights in his rearview mirror no longer symbolized safety, but a chilling reminder of injustice. How many more lives would be shattered before real change arrived? And how many more truths must be exposed before the world listens? Which country and city are you watching from? Take care.